Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Tobias Rosenfeld and I'm going to talk to you today about Questback Essentials. Questback Essentials, our feedback solution, the feedback solution that you're working with. And the topic for today is that we're going through the highlights, the release highlights in 2022. But before that, this is me. I'm working at Questback. I've been working at Questback for many years. I have many different roles, but I'm also sort of a global pre-sales role. And as such, I typically present also new features like this to customers, to colleagues, to partners, etc. Randi is our customer success manager. She's not sitting next to me here in the same room this time, but she's following on the chat. And if you have any questions, she will answer them there via the chat. So that is also functionality that you can use throughout the webinar. Enough about us. What is the topic today? We start with reporting and our enhanced options for NPS reporting. You might have joined our webinar earlier this year about NPS feedback as such. And we already announced then that there's going to be great additions to the way you can report on NPS within Essentials. And this is what we're going to present you today. I'm very excited about it, something that we've been working on for quite a bit of time, and also something that will lead a bit the way on how we allow you to work with reporting going forward. This is new. This was released over the summer. So this is the latest edition. We will have then a bit of a recap about 3 features that we launched earlier this year about distribution, token-based quest login, the opt-out manager, and an updated framework for email sendouts. And we'll just recap them because we get frequent questions from customers around this, and we would like to use the opportunity to present it once more so that you get an idea of your capabilities around these topics in Essentials. We round up with a few small hints about other release work we've done as well around GDPR settings, about quick settings for duplication and others, just to show you that we didn't just focus on reporting and distribution. Every single release includes various different elements, including also bug fixing and smaller additions. So you can look forward also to new releases with a lot of new things to come. But for the webinar today, it is about the highlights so far in 2022. This was actually already all about slides. We're changing now the screens, and I'll start in the live demo quickly. But I think Elias that manages the webinar in the back end actually will launch a little poll that will sort of be the handover from my overview to the actual presentation. We're looking at the results as they come in. We see almost a close race here, but the no's actually seem to be in the lead. So there's most votes that say they have not used the Mps-Function Essentials before. And our hope, obviously, after the webinar is that you 23, 24 people that have not used it yet will find it so intuitive and attractive that you will start using it. And the ones that already use it, that will feel reaffirmed that this is something that they would like to continue with because there's so much more functions now available. So thank you for your input there, and we'll leave it at that, and we'll dive right into Essentials. We prepared a little quest today. It's very, very short, and just for you to illustrate, it includes an NPS question with the regular scale activated now as a display, as a slider, and we added 2 additional questions about country and product. The preview looks like this, just that you know that this is the input side with the slider from 0 to 10, the NPS question scale, and then the 2 additional questions. This is nothing new. This has there always been before, but this is always sort of the input side of things. What is new with the NPS is that Some of you might recall that there used to be an NPS button here in the menu with access to a separate NPS reporting module. It was a bit old-fashioned, it was a bit outdated, and especially it was not really connected to the rest of the feedback activities. So what we've done here is we have not stopped with NPS reporting, but we have included all the NPS reporting capabilities and more inside the regular reporting for a Quest. If you have used the NPS module before and are looking to the data that you've collected there or visualized there, they're not gone, but they're moved into the regular reporting. Should you not find them there, reach out to us and we'll help you. So nothing is lost, but we have integrated it into the regular way of working with reporting. For everybody else that has not done NPS reporting before, it is there now as part of a report here. And if when going into a report, you see now that the NPS question here is visualized as any other question. And we can start a bit from scratch, so to show you what you can do now. When you have an NPS question, you get the option now to add different visualizations of the same data. You can activate a score. What is a score? The score is the percentage of the promoters, meaning the ones that give you a 9 and 10, minus the percentage of the detractors, the ones that give you a 0 to 6. And that score can be anything from -100 to a +100. It is a typical NPS score. It's a concept well developed by others, not by Questback, but we use it and give you the capability to work with NPS. You see also here a new thing is that the display settings are no longer here up as a special accordion, but they're available here directly inside the chart, where you can say, for example, I don't want to see it as a chart, I only want to see the number, or I would like to see it as a chart, but as a bar chart. And then you get the data visualized. You can also adjust an NPS target that you set yourself as an internal benchmark, and then it will adjust here in the chart. So settings here directly within the chart with your options to have them adjusted the way you would like. This is the NPS score. This is the first NPS item or element that you can add to a report. The second item that you can add is a distribution. And you recognize it from previously, I would assume, or at least many of you, it is the typical stacked bar with the percentage of the detractors, 0 to 6, the percentage of the passives, and the percentage of the promoters. And again, the promoters minus the detractors equal the NPS score here. Also here you have additional settings. You can change the colors, the bar, the percentage, or you can say, show me the number of responses directly in the chart. If you say, I only want this, but not the score, you simply take the score away from your report. The third element that you have is an integrated timeline visualization, where you see if you indeed do collect data over time, how it develops over time. And here you can, for example, say, the weekly is a bit too much a fever curve. The monthly gives me a better indication. And maybe I would like a single color in blue. And then the data are being adjusted. And from September 2021 to August 2022, we see this is how your NPS has developed over time, with a bit of a peak here in December and in midsummer. Timeline, the third way of visualizing data. The fourth way of visualizing data is the table, where you sort of see in details. These are the number of promoters, the number of passives, the number of detractors, and the NPS score. As we've seen before, you can freely add scores and tables and timelines and distribution the way you would like to have it combined. And whenever you have something visualized like that in a report, obviously, and of course, it will be activated also in a live report where you can see, you can sort of build a full-blown NPS dashboard with different visualizations of how you would like the data to look like. Another very, very important element of the old NPS module here that we included in the new NPS way of working with NPS is the work with series. The ones of you that have joined our previous webinar about advanced reporting do recall it's under series where we define whether we would like to see all the data to a quest or to a question, or whether we would like to see a subgroup. And if you recall the questionnaire, we had a question about country, and we had a question here about product. So if I say I would like to see a breakdown of NPS scores for people that work with the product data collection versus the NPS score from people that work with reporting and follow-up. What I do then here in the setup of the report, I add these series, these filters to define the additional data sets and say, okay, I have 4 data sets, 4 series now, 1 for each product, 1 for each filter that we've defined. And if I then collapse it, the data will be automatically adjusted in the visualization that I've chosen before. In the distribution one, I see, okay, this is how the data look for the various products, and I already see here the follow-up part here has the largest percentage of promoters, for example. So here, people are typically very happy. I can see also, and here I can, for example, choose a different color scheme to make it a bit even. The light one is usually a good one, where I say, okay, how does the data compare over time versus for 2 of elements? So you say, okay, total, my NPS is the blue one, and the green one, the data collection, more or less corresponds a bit to the movements there of the total one, while the reporting one has much higher peaks, for example. So either people are very, very happy, or while the follow-up one here has a bit different peaks, starts higher but lower. So with comparisons, you have the full capability here to add additional data series and do this breakdown of NPS scores or distributions for the various filters or groups that you find. You get the same visualization here also in a table. And here you can say, okay, I would like to see the percentages, for example. And probably most powerful, you also see it here with scores, with we see the full product, the group here, product follow-up, has the highest NPS score, and the one product collection has the lowest. And if we choose a different visualization here, you see instantly combined with the target that you can set and adjust who sort of scores above and who scores below set target. So a lot of capabilities there for you to do NPS reporting and get the data out. Of course, any additional reporting capabilities that are existing for any kind of report that you have in Essentials are also available for NPS reporting. One that is especially powerful is the one where you activate the live report URL by setting it to public, and where you say the live report viewers should have access to a set of filters that they can use to put on top of whatever analysis you already have. And we've seen in the setup so far, we had the product groups added as sort of the first layer of analysis, where we see the total versus the NPS score per product, and allowing the viewers now to select based on country on top gives it sort of a two-dimensional breakdown. This is available for any report and any question in a report, and therefore, of course, also for NPS reporting. So if activated in a report and going to the live report, I see here, I see now all the data with the breakdowns according to the products. And then in addition, as a viewer, I can say, show me the Norwegian data only. And then the data adjust for all the visualizations that I've chosen. Or the data adjust now to Sweden, where I see Sweden, and then you see, okay, the scores look very different. And if you then feel, well, actually it should be the scores here that should be on top and not the distribution, all you would have to do is go back into reports, and then you can drag and drop it into position so that the distribution here appears on top. Or you can say the timeline and the tables are actually not relevant, and I would like the scores to be on top, and then you have scores and distribution. And if you reopen the live report, it's adjusted there. So now I can apply the Norwegian data again and say, okay, here the data collection, we have a very negative NPS. So this is really an area where we need to improve for Norway. But if I apply Sweden now, we've seen actually the Swedish colleagues do fantastically well. They're well above target for all the breakdowns that we see in the reporting. So a quick recap. There's no more separate NPS report for the few customers that worked with it in the past. The full NPS reporting, including all capabilities, are now integrated in the regular reporting for a Quest. Within a report here, you can add the NPS question as any other question. And within the NPS question, you have the choice between 4 different visualizations: score, distribution, timeline, and table. For each visualization, you have the display settings directly integrated in the chart, where you can adjust things the way you would like. You have the flexibility to adjust the target the way you would like to have it. And not least, you have the full capability of working with comparisons exactly the same way as you're used to with any other analysis in the Essentials reporting. Time is flying. We're 20 minutes into the webinar. We have 10 minutes left. So without further ado, I'll quickly touch on the other topics about things that we've done previously this year, but that should help you with especially the distribution part. The first one is something that we call Quest login, or a token-based login. The short version is, if you would like to distribute a link and you would like to give the participants an individual token, a code for them to log in, then you have an easy way of generating tokens, where you can say, I would like to have 10 or 100 tokens with, for example, a medium security level or a low security level, and you generate the tokens. The tokens are then being generated and available for export. And you can click on the Excel download that you can export directly to your desktop. And then what you see here is a list of tokens that you can freely distribute digitally or on paper, just the way you would like to have it, with the length of the token according to your choice of security level. When a token then is being generated, the person that receives the token can click on the link and say, this is my token. And then I log in, and then I can start to reply to the quest. The page loads and it needs a bit of a refreshment here because I was too much into something else, and then I can start to participate. So they have identified themselves with a token. Technically, all the dummy email addresses are added as invitees here. And if you indeed would like to add additional customer data to, and the token 1 I distribute to Elias, the token 2 I distribute to Randi, then you can start to add additional data also with token-based login. So token-based login, it's not for everybody, but we have customers that use it extensively. If it should be of interest for you, have a look at it, try it out. Should it not be available for you, then it's not part of your subscription package, but our CSMs are more than happy to discuss with you what your options are. So token-based login, something that we have developed and enhanced over the years, and is available here. The second new thing that we've added and extended over the last 6 months is something that we call opt-out manager. The opt-out manager here under managers is available for the account login, meaning the one user that is indeed defined as the account admin here in the account settings. So Questback demo here, that user, the user I'm logged in with, is the account admin, and as such I see the opt-out manager. What I see in the opt-out managers are email addresses of respondents that have been invited at least once to a quest and that have clicked on the opt-out link or the unsubscribe link in the invitation they receive. Once an email address is flagged as opted out, it is opted out for all future quests that you run within your account. So if I was to upload this email address again here, tobias@questback.no, and I say, okay, I'm managing my distribution here. I add invitees, and I see here tobias@questback.no is part of my invitation, and I say I would like to invite them at 4 o'clock this afternoon, for example. Then I just need to. What happens is that the email address is automatically recognized as opted out, gets the status opt-out, and no invitation is going to be sent out to this email address. The other email address that I uploaded is not part of that list, and therefore the invitation is scheduled as normal. Should you see an opt-out here, you know why, because it's part of it has opted out at some point. Should that person come back to you, say, actually, I would like to participate again, I clicked that link by mistake, then the account admin can also go into the manager and say, this one was actually opted out wrongly, and you can remove an address again. And then if you go back to the quest, then the opt-out status is there, but you can then sort of refresh and send that person the invitation as well. Again, what did we say? For example, 12:50. And you see it changes from opted out to scheduled for delivery because now the email address is not there anymore. So opt-out manager, a powerful tool for you to manage your audience. If somebody has opted out, you see them listed in the manager. There's also ways to manage the list here, either manually by adding or file-based or by removing. There's also export functions here that might or might not be part of your subscription package. So also here, double check with your customer success manager if there's any question. The last distribution element that we've enhanced and improved in the last 6 months is also related to invitations and distribution, and it relates to the framework, the sender setup for email invitations. By default, because of anti-spam mechanisms, the sender address is feedback@questback.net, because that is corresponding to this sender server at our end. With that default address, combined with our email server, the delivery rate is absolutely best, because there's a full sync, and therefore, if you come back to us and say it is absolutely crucial that instead of having feedback@questback.net, we have our own domain as a sender email, then you can talk to us, and your IT needs to talk to our IT. And once respective settings are synchronized and approved mutually, then we can open up this field for you, so that instead of having feedback@questback.net, you would send it out from an email address with your own domain. So this is the way it looks for default settings. And let me see whether I can open a second account here in a second browser. And this is the way it would look if we indeed synchronized the settings with your IT. So assuming there's a company called Questback.com that would not like feedback@questback.net to be the sender address, but Questback.com, then we would need to basically pre-approve that domain here. And then I could freely type in whatever email address I would like to use with that domain. This is also an add-on functionality, requires input and contribution from your IT, but is very powerful if you indeed would like to brand also your feedback work down to the sender settings. Just to give you a couple of examples on how things look on the receiving end, this is the way it looks when you send an invitation with the default sender address. You're free to choose the name, but the email address is at feedback@questback.net. If you have the alternative settings, and you indeed have the customizable sender details address, then it comes up whatever you have defined. Many customers like to have it like that, and we're more than happy to help you with it, as long as your IT is willing to cooperate with us on that matter. Rounding up the report, or the webinar, with highlights of things that we've done in the past, we have added under the settings here. Under the settings, we have improved the GDPR settings, where you can now flexibly decide whether you would only like to have an internal processing and an automated deletion process for personal data, or whether you would like or not include an extra consent page for the respondents as well. Many customers have asked about this, to have the capability only to automate the data management without a consent page. We've listened, and we've added that flexibility. Other final improvements over the year so far include, and I need to find it again, include the option, for example, for you to, when duplicating a quest here, that you can have a lot of settings already included in that duplication process, including reusing of predefined reports, predefined notifications, so that the reuse of work done previously is becoming very easy and makes the work very, very efficient for you. These are just a couple of examples of additional things that we've added in the last 6 months. A full overview is always available here under the Academy. The link is here. The Academy as such is here. There is a full release documentation. There's guides, there's administrations, there's FAQs. So if you've never seen the Academy before, we certainly and strongly recommend you to have a look at it, because it's the one place to look for information there. That was it. We said the webinar would last 30 minutes. We're through. I really do thank you for your time today, for your interest. I hope we could show you some new things, and I hope that the majority of the people that initially said we're not working with NPS yet is really a yet, because we hope that obviously that the new elements that we've added, especially around the reporting, will convince you that NPS work is actually fun, adds a lot of value, and helps your organization develop and become better, become more profitable, become closer to customers, etc. So thank you for your time. If there's any further questions, reach out to us, reach out to your local CSMs, and we're more than happy to help you. Bye for now.